Many thanks for staying with us. And in case you're just joining us, you are right on time for our gold conversation. And today, like promised earlier, we will be focusing on soil health. And to take us through that, we are joined by soil experts. We do have on my far right, Mukami Getao, and we also do have Mini Wanjiko. Thank you so much for making time to be with us today on the program. And you look so nice. Thank you for being here on the program. And also, if you're watching us and you have any question regarding soil health, unataka kuelewa shida na mchanga yako inaweza kuwa wapi, please remember you can talk to us by calling us on 0742-961-343. And you can also talk to us across our social media platforms. On X, we are at Citizen TV Kenya. Now, jumping straight into the conversation, Mukami, I'm going to start with you. A lot of times, tunaambiwa, our soil is degraded. Our soil is not in its best condition. And I want you to take it from the very top by helping a farmer understand what is healthy soil. What does it consist of? What does it look like?
Good. So a healthy soil should be able to support life. Soil is the foundation of life. So a healthy soil should be able to support plant growth, animal growth, should also be able to retain water, should also be able to retain nutrients, so that now, and apart from that, there's a life that goes on, a very dynamic life under the soils, full of microorganisms. So a healthy soil should also be able to support that ecosystem that is happening right under the soil.
Right. Does that cut across the different types of soil? Maybe you can take us through that, kwa sababu pengine mtu anajua tu ile loam soil, kuna clay soil na sand, the three famous ones that we used to learn. But maybe you can give us a wider perspective tukiongelelea mchanga and the health of the soil. What are the different types of soil that we are talking about?
Ideally, you're talking about any type of soil where farmers are using as a source of livelihood. Because ideally, even if you look at places like Israel that are really, really desert-like, there's still some form of life and they actually grow food. So it cuts across all forms of soil because it may be different, and because different things grow in different kinds of soils, so it means we need to look at all soils holistically, not just one particular kind, although some have a bigger advantage in terms of the nutrients that are already there in, for example, volcanic soils.
Right.
But even if it's desert-like soil, there's still some, there are shrubs that grow there, so it means there's life in there. So we need to look at it holistically as opposed to in silos.
Right.
Yeah.
Mukami, give us a clear picture of how our soil state currently is. And also because sana sana utaambiwa, yes, our soil is not doing well, hiyo data huwa inachukuliwa wapi, mara ngapi? How often is it collected for us to get that accurate result of our soils are doing very badly? Take us through that.
First of all, in Kenya, only 20% of the soils are actually good for production. 80% of it is degraded. And for us to be able to find out this is we use technologies like what you see here. That's a handheld scanner that uses near infrared. So it's with this technology, you're able to actually, for different users, and around Kenya, we have about 300 of these gadgets out there. So every day, there's an advisor. There's probably an agronomist or a field officer who's giving advisory to farmers, who's walking around with this. A back end. So when you look at our digital portal, you can actually see live tests happening using the technology. So this is information that is collected real time in less than 10 minutes, the farmer can actually be able to know what's happening, what's the nutrient composition in his field, and get a recommendation on what he needs to do as intervention measures to be able to improve his soil health.
Right. Yeah. Mini, please talk to us about, we've had Mukami say about 80% of our soils, agriculture, where we are doing our agriculture, is degraded already. Talk to us about those activities, both natural and human activities that lead to the degradation of our soils.
I'd say first is just the activity itself of farming. It's actually degrading because you're taking something out of the soil. Food requires those nutrient compositions that Mukami is talking about for it to grow, with whatever kind of food you're growing. So if we're taking out, think of it as a bank, think of the soil as a bank. You're constantly withdrawing without depositing something. At some point, you'll end up with zero balance. So that's exactly what has happened. So the soil, for example, that the land my grandmother works at, it has been there since time immemorial. She's used the same soil. She's going to pass it on to a different person, same soil. So if we're taking a lot more out than putting in, that's actually part of what we're doing. There's also climate change. For the longest, you could actually predict. I remember when I was doing science, we used to know short rains in March, long rains in March, sorry, short rains in October, But right now, we had rains just about last month, so it's not a pattern anymore. So it means that sometimes you have a lot more rain than you anticipate, which means that the soil is being overwatered. And she mentioned about the amount of water in the soil, but it also means that sometimes there's less water, so it means that the soil is underwatered. So that coupled with also the use of heavy pesticides, which also come in with a lot of heavy metal. So it means that we are taking out the good actually and adding the bad into the soil. So it means that eventually we will end up with soil that looks like it's working. But if you look at farms where you used to get, let's say, a gunny of let's say, maize, right now you're probably getting a quarter of it. And farmers, unfortunately, lack advisory. The proper advisory is what farmers are lacking. Farmers are actually very willing to know what to do to improve. I don't think if your livelihood is the soil, you actually are going to be ignorant about it. However, they're actually lacking even the right source of information, because you find they're getting a lot of information from very different sources. And sometimes there's a lot of information. There's too much that I'm wondering, okay, so what do I do? I need to test my soil, fine. Then after I learn that my soil is lacking nitrogen, what do I do? So she comes in and tests the soil. Then at Farm Better, we come tell you, this is how to apply nitrogen back to your soil. But we use sustainable agricultural practices, because we've learned that most farmers cannot afford to live on conventional agriculture over time, because it's literally most of them are smallholder farmers, hand and mouth. So we are trying to teach them to do indigenous practices that have worked in a long time. They take a long time to heal the soil, but if you start now, same Chinese proverb, best time to grow a tree 100 years ago.
Right.
Next best time is today. So if we start healing the soil today, we expect the soil to be much, much better. If I'm going to inherit the land, I'm going to inherit from grandma.
Are they patient enough from where we sit right now? Because remember, we have someone who's a commercial farmer. Wow, it's not like kitchen garden, I'm just growing to eat. Ni kwenda soko, and they're thinking, this one will take so long. By the time I'm getting back to a place where I'm getting good yields, it will be very many years later. Is that one of the biggest challenges now? Because I'm thinking, anataka ni pande ni harvest kama nimeenda kwa soko.
There's a microwave generation, and we're not really helping with that. However, if you look at smallholder farmers who solely rely on the farm, they are willing to learn. Just prior to this, you're teaching about black soldier fly. It's one of those things that you can use in your soil to be able to add nutrient to it. But the same people who are working in different ways, the foliar, the black soldier fly, and every other intervention that is there, that is holistic and regenerative, we actually will tell you from the fly. This is not to give you results tomorrow. So you'll not see like a windfall of potatoes tomorrow. But however, if you want Ngina right now to inherit this land that you own right now, you need to do something now, otherwise tutabaki na mchanga that will not be useful for us. Yeah.
So it's also a game of patience, knowing what is in the future.
Yeah,
I'll come to you, Mukami, and this is something that has come to us a lot of times. We know using organic manure is part of the ways of regenerating degraded soils, but different farmers have asked, how sustainable is organic farming, especially for large-scale farmers? Here we are talking about someone who has hundreds of acres. They are commercial farmers. Being practical, being very honest, how sustainable is organic farming for such a farm? Tusifikiri ule wa 1 acre, 2 acres, 3. Give me ranches and, you know, that kind of farmer. How sustainable is it?
Organic farming, first of all, as you said, you need to be patient.
Okay.
Those are not quick fixes. You need to be patient. The other thing, it also has a cost to it. And so it can be sustainable in the long run, but then again, it has its own costs that one needs to consider. And I just want to add something on soil health management and when it should start. I want to share an experience. 2 weeks ago, I was in Arua, the West Nile side of Uganda. And with this partner that we were with, they actually are supporting schools, school farms. And in the process of supporting these school farms, what they are doing, such a beautiful thing, is to get young children, school-going children, to start learning the ropes of soil health management. And we were there with the kids. We showed them how to collect a good sample. We actually had them testing their soil in that farm, which actually feeds them, with the scanner, and they were able to see how technology is working. So what that did, that is a very powerful thing. What that did is it's helping now these young ones to start at an early age to engage with soil health management and to start interacting with emerging technologies like this, so that as they grow up and they become farmers probably at some point, they already know that it's important to take care of the soil.
Right.
And this we're doing for future generations, as she said. Soil is not a tangible, it's not tangible yet until we begin to see the changes, increase in production, a lot of patience there, but we need to start with the younger generation, expose them, put it in the school curriculum, that soil health management is important.
We're seeing that we're bringing back 4K clubs here in Kenya.
Exactly.
I hope this is going to be part of the things that they're going to be learning. Like you've said, we need to start them early, right? So we're going to take another break right now, but when we come back, we're going to dive deeper on matters to a large scale. What can they do when it comes to regenerating their soils? Because sababu pia wanasema crop rotation is not very ideal for them, all right? So I'll want you to shed more light on that when we come back from this short commercial break.
Kenya's Gold.